Have you ever taken a yoga class and spent so much time trying to figure out what the teacher wanted you to do that you never really got a chance to practice? The teacher gives you an instruction and everyone starts moving and you aren't quite sure what you heard, so you start watching everybody else, and then the teacher has already moved on by the time you kind of figure stuff out. Now you're trying to remember what she said and figure out what everyone else is doing. And somehow during all of this, you're supposed to connect to your body at the same time and be calm while doing it. By the end of class, you're exhausted, and it's not necessarily because the poses were hard, but because you spent the whole class feeling like you were behind somehow. I have had plenty of experiences like that over the years, and it's really, really easy to leave a class thinking that I'm just not good at yoga. But I'm here to say that there is no way to be bad at yoga. Sometimes the way one teacher shares yoga simply doesn't work very well for you. And so that's what I want to talk about today. Finding a yoga teacher isn't just about finding a good teacher. It's about finding a teacher whose way of communicating works best for you. I'm Tanya, and I've been practicing yoga for a really long time, and I'm also a neurodivergent yoga teacher. Something I understand so much better now than I did when I started learning about yoga way back in the 1900s, the 1990s, is how much the way we're taught affects our experience of learning. For so long, I just assumed that if someone was considered a good yoga teacher by someone else, that I should be able to learn from them. And so if I couldn't follow the instructions, I needed to pay closer attention. If I got lost during a class, then I just needed to try harder. If everyone else seemed to understand something that I didn't, then of course I just assumed that I was the one who was missing something. And it took me a really, really long time to question the other side of that, to look at other possibilities. What if the communication style of the teacher just simply didn't work for me? So think about how you learn something else. You can sit in a class with someone who knows the subject of math extremely well and still spend the entire time trying to understand how they're explaining it. It just doesn't click. I've had that experience in school so many times, and if you're neurodivergent like me, you probably have too. And the information is good, the person knows what they're talking about, but yet we leave thinking, I did not learn a damn thing in that last hour of class. Then another teacher comes along and they explain the exact same math problems in a way that makes sense to you, and then suddenly it all seems so obvious. Nothing changed about your ability to learn, right? It's just the teaching changed, the teaching style changed, the communication changed. And yoga is just like that. And you might really love the approach of one teacher, but feel completely lost with the approach of another teacher. So that tells us something about how we learn. It doesn't tell us anything about whether or not we are good or bad at yoga. And then there are other things that can affect us in a studio class, especially when we're neurodivergent. Being expected to keep your eyes closed or to sit still, that is also a really big one for us. So if the environment makes it difficult for us to pay attention or to participate, that's part of our experience of the class. So when someone tells me they've tried yoga but they weren't good at it, and I've heard this quite a lot, instead I ask them, how was it to learn from this teacher? Did you understand what was being asked of you? Did you have enough time to process it? Could you maybe sit down or stop if you needed to? So this isn't about thinking that someone is a bad yoga teacher at all. That has nothing to do with it. It's only about noticing whether or not their communication style and the environment you were in just worked for you. One difficult class can turn into a much bigger story for us very quickly about how we feel about yoga. I couldn't follow that teacher or I couldn't follow that class becomes the story that I am bad at yoga. But that's really not what happened. You just couldn't follow the communication style of that class or that teacher. But that's actually all you really know. So I encourage you to try another teacher, try another class, practice at home, try online classes or live online classes where the teacher can see you and help you. Find someone who explains things in a way that finally clicks for you, because I guarantee you that teacher is out there for you. So if you're looking for a yoga teacher, just pay attention to what actually helps you practice. What kind of instructions make sense to you? What kind of environment, if you decide to practice in person, in real life with someone, what kind of environment makes it easier for you? What helps you to feel like you are participating instead of spending the whole class just trying to keep up with everybody else? And you don't have to know any of those things before you start to take a yoga class or before you try again. You can learn them as you go. And that is a really big part of finding the right yoga teacher for you. So if you have been in a yoga class where you thought, I just can't do this, I'd be curious to hear what actually happened for you. What was your experience? Was it the teacher's instructions, or was it the environment, or something else? Tell me in the comments or ask me a question and I'll turn it into a future video maybe. And thank you for being here with me, and I'll see you in the next video.